John Deere's powerful idea, the Perfect Plow. Written by Terry Collins, illustrated by Carl Pierce. John Deere watched his father go. The elderly Deere was leaving the family home in Middlebury, Vermont, for England. He hoped to find money there to support his wife and children. Sadly, William Deere would never come back. Some say he died at sea. It was 1808, and John was just 4 years old. The Deere family was now penniless and without a male provider, but they were tough. Young John was expected to do his part. There was little time for school. Instead, John went to work. His father had left behind a note, "Let truth and honesty be your guide." The words spoke to the boy, and John promised to live his life by them. As a teenager, John loved making things with his hands. He started work with a blacksmith in 1821, and for 4 years, he learned all that he could. After his apprenticeship, John opened his own blacksmith shop. He got married in 1827 and started a family. But John's dream of being his own boss didn't last long. His shop closed, leaving him in debt. He didn't know how he would support his wife and 4 children, and a 5th child was on the way. Like his father before him, John left his family in search of money. In 1836, his friend Leonard Andrus invited him to the town of Grand Detour, Illinois. Settlers were arriving daily, and with no blacksmith within 40 miles, or 64 kilometers, John could do well. If plans for this new start worked, he could send for his family. Unlike his father's trip to England, John's move proved to be a good one. John was busy from the moment he arrived in Illinois. So many new farmers and settlers needed his help, he sharpened his skills by making and repairing farm equipment. He made countless hoes, shovels, and plows. By 1837, John learned that farmers were having problems with the Illinois prairie soil. Plows built further east were made of cast iron. They had been designed for light, sandy soil. The thick, black prairie soil stuck to the plow blade. Farmers had to stop every few yards and scrape the blade clean. It was slow, frustrating work. John went out to the fields and saw the problem for himself. He knew what he had to do. He had to make a plow that would clean itself while being used, the perfect plow. It wouldn't be an easy task, but John was willing to try. Back in his shop, John built prototypes of all shapes and materials, and he spent long hours trying to find something that worked. But he didn't mind. He learned from each failure. One afternoon at his friend Leonard Andrus' sawmill, John spotted a broken saw blade. That was it. What if he changed metals? Maybe a plow blade made of polished steel would work better than one made of cast iron. John took the large steel saw blade and cut off the teeth. Using his hammer and anvil, he pounded the steel into a curved plow blade, and he attached the new blade to the bottom of a wood post. It was a simple design, but would it work? John's own test proved promising. He gave the new steel plow to a local farmer to try, and then he nervously waited. Weeks later, the farmer returned, and John held his breath. The farmer smiled and handed John some money. The plow worked, and word spread quickly, and soon other local farmers lined up in John's shop. All of them wanted his new plows. Business boomed. John sent for his wife and children, and he could finally support his family the way his own father hadn't been able to. In 1840, John sold 40 plows. He teamed up with Leonard Andrus and formed the company Andrus & Deere, and by 1846, the company's yearly plow production rose to 1,000. Because of the fast growth, John had to make a change. So in 1848, he moved to Moline, Illinois, and there he could be closer to river power and cheaper transportation. He took on new partners and built his first factory, and it was in Moline that John Deere and Company was born, Plowworks. Orders grew with each passing year, but no matter how many plows were made, John always insisted on excellence. "I will never put my name on a product that does not have in it the best that is in me," he said. And farmers throughout the Midwest couldn't say enough good things about John's plow. They said it cut so smoothly through the soil that it made a singing sound, and the name stuck. The singing plow was the tool that tamed the lands of the Midwestern prairies. In 1853, John's wife and children joined him in Moline. However, the homecoming was short. John's family rarely saw him except at meals. He spent every moment making his plows the finest examples in the world, and he often got up at 4 a.m. and stayed at his anvil until 10 p.m. By the late 1850s, John's dreams had come true. He now owned the entire company. He tested the new plows and started branching out into other kinds of equipment, and years of hard work had paid off. John had helped to forever change farming in the American Midwest. In 1858, John turned over his company to his son Charles. John Deere died in 1886, but members of the Deere family ran Deere & Co. until 1982. Today, Deere & Co. is a worldwide business with close to 50,000 employees. Its products are made and sold in more than 160 countries. The company is probably best known for its famous green-painted tractors. They appeared in 1918, years after John passed on. The company's Leaping Deer logo first appeared in 1876. The end.